Hello, my name is Michael Santos. I'm with prisonprofessors.com, and I'd love to share some insight for anybody who is a first-time offender or a white-collar offender, somebody who has never been into the criminal justice system before, but yet finds themselves targeted for a prosecution. You see, the decisions that an individual makes at every stage in the journey has enormous impact and influence. I don't know how many of you saw the video that I posted yesterday. If you haven't seen it, it is under my blogs under the category of letters from prison, where an individual who wrote me, I didn't know this individual, his name is George, and he tells a story about how the decisions he made very early on during his sentence resulted in him having a very difficult journey through prison. In fact, he started his prison sentence when he was about 17 or 18 years old. When he went into the prison system, he faced some challenges, and he responded to those challenges with violence. That violence meant he fought, he used a weapon, usually a knife, he stabbed people, and as a consequence of that, he went higher and higher and higher into security. He started at the Federal Correctional Institution in El Reno, Oklahoma, and then in his letter he describes how disciplinary infractions resulted in him going to United States penitentiaries, the first one at Terre Haute, Indiana, then Leavenworth, Kansas, then the United States Penitentiary in Lompoc, California, then the United States Penitentiary in Marion, which is a maximum security penitentiary, and finally the ADX Penitentiary in Florence, Colorado. That individual has now been in prison for more than 35 years. And the sad thing is, he's serving so much time primarily because of the decisions that he made at the very start of his journey. Now I get it. It's easy to say, whoa, I'm a first-time offender. Whoa, I'm a white-collar guy. These types of things aren't going to happen to me. Sure, I understand that. It's very easy to assume that when you're making decisions from the comfort of your lawyer's office, or you're making decisions without the insight of what prison is really like. Now that's something that those of us on our team at Prison Professors knows an awful lot about, and that's why we provide so much free content. Content that will help you understand how to deal with challenges more effectively than my friend who recently wrote me a letter. I call him my friend because anybody who is going through struggle is really a friend of mine. But the reality is, the individual, his name is George. He wrote me because he is in a prison that happens to be a client of mine, and that prison uses a course that I designed, wrote, and created. And George read the letter, and he kind of wrote me basically saying, I really wish I would have had this content at the start of my sentence instead of now, when I've got 35 years of prison behind me, and the reality is I may never get out of prison. And that's why I'm trying to present this information to people outside. Those of you who know my story know that I did 26 calendar years in prison, but every single day was productive. Every single day was driven towards a pursuit of success. That's what I teach. And in my case, it is 100% authentic. You can look at it, you can read about it. I am telling you things today because I lived these experiences, and I feel very passionately about sharing them with other people because I know it can save the life of an individual. It can make communities safer. It can make family life better. And it really feels like if it's a duty that I have, because these are lessons that I learned from masterminds. Masterminds that many of whom I've never met. Socrates, Mandela, Viktor Frankl, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, so many others who really gave me the strength to power through 26 calendar years. Now my client, who was brought into the criminal justice system, he's a professional. He's an engineer. But yet he found himself wrapped up with a mail fraud charge. I'm sure that some of you know what mail fraud is. It is basically just using the mail for any type of activity that prosecutors or ultimately a jury or a judge will say violates the law. So if you put something in the mail, whether it's an invoice or a bill or a solicitation or a marketing material that is considered to be fraudulent, and you use the mail as a delivery mechanism, you could potentially face charges for mail fraud, just like my friend the engineer did. Didn't even know what mail fraud was. But nevertheless, he was brought in to the criminal justice system. And he started out at the detention center in a major city. This city happened to be Los Angeles. So he was in MDC, Los Angeles. And while he was there, the first thing that happens, as what happens to anybody, is he's hoping to get bond. But there were some complications in his case because of his nationality and his immigration status. So he didn't get bonded out right away. Instead, he had to start and stay inside of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles for about 10, 12 days. And of course, when he gets out onto a tier, what does he find? He finds that all of a sudden he is immersed in a population of about 200 people that he's never seen before. And in a detention center, there are people from every security level. So, although he's a well-educated engineer, he's in an environment that he doesn't really understand. And in this environment, there is a shot caller. That shot caller is not just some fictional character from movies and television. You will see and find shot callers wherever you go. And what is a shot caller? How does one pursue a career as a shot caller in prison? Well, it's not through the typical resume vetting process. It's not through a typical headhunter. Rather, an individual becomes a shot caller in prison because he gets what's known in prison as respect. But respect in prison is fundamentally different from what you or I out here in society define respect as. Out here, how do you get respect? Well, you get it like my client got it, by becoming an engineer, educating yourself, learning new skills. You get it by contributing to society. You get it by living as a good citizen, a good father, a good husband, an employer, somebody who raises capital, pays taxes. That's how you get respect outside. How do you get respect in prison? Well, it's actually fear. In prison, respect is synonymous with instilling fear in the people around you. You're intimidating. You respond to problems with violence, or the threat of violence, or the perception that you will use violence. And that's what lifts the character, lifts the status level of somebody in prison. So, you may be an engineer, you may be a lawyer, you may be a physician, you may be a business guy, you may be a teacher. I don't know what you are. But if you find yourself in the criminal justice system, you are going to have encounters. And how you respond to those encounters can have a material influence on your journey. Now, I'm not talking about getting out of prison early. I am talking about not getting out of prison later than you otherwise could. There are so many decisions that an individual has to make, and so we really encourage people at Prison Professor to educate yourself, to learn in the same manner that you would be educating yourself and learning, or the way you would be coaching your child to educate himself or learn about what does it take to get into a good university. It takes study, it takes practice. Same thing. You see, my friend, the engineer, he shows up to the Metropolitan Detention Center, and the first thing he sees is the shot caller on the guard. And what does the shot caller tell him? He comes up, tries to ask him some questions. He's prospecting, as we would say out here in the business world. He's prospecting. He's trying to figure out, who are you? Where are you from? Who do you run with? Do you got your paperwork with you? Can I read it? What are you about? They're looking for information to see, is this predator or is this prey? Can I use this person for some kind of way? And there then follow a series of tests. And my friend the engineer tells me about the test he faced. You see, the following day, after he came back from recreation, he went into his cell. And who did he see lying on his bunk but the shot caller, lying back, hands behind his head, just staring there? How do you respond to that? How would you respond to that? How would you respond if you came into your cell and there was another man lying in your bunk? That's the question that you should be prepared to answer. That's the question that George, who wrote me the letter yesterday, didn't answer so well. How would you answer? Think that through. Let that thought settle with you for a little while. figure it out. And I will present another video that will describe how my client responded. I'm Michael Santos with PrisonProfessors.com. I hope that you're going to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I present a lot of videos that will automatically go to your feed if you just hit subscribe. Follow us on social media. You can see me on my Facebook page where I've got thousands of people who follow me, and you can see that I'm 100% authentic, providing a lot of free information. But if you are that individual who needs one-on-one consulting, feel free to reach out and contact me. My partner Sean Hopwood and I, or other prison professors on our team, stand by ready to help with that one-on-one consultation. But as you can imagine, after 26 years in prison, my time is very valuable. My friend Sean Hopwood, partner, he's a professor of law at Georgetown Law School. His time is very valuable. That's why we provide free information. So if you want the one-on-one, give us a call. We can help. If you don't have the resources to bring us on your team, then please use our free information and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you very much.